Was there a rule that states the entirety of Food Wars has to be filled with pan shots all the way through when they kickstart the production? I'm not exaggerating when I say about 70% of the entire series were composed solely of pan, tilt, and zoom that just scan towards a single direction. You know, shows about food are hard to dislike in general, and despite what I'm going to say in this video, I do kinda like Food Wars for being such an easily digestible shonen cooking battle showcase. You have beautifully drawn delicacies and sexily drawn people cooking and eating them. A simple man's dream. You await what twists and turns each chef could bring on the table when it is their turn to shine, while you learn more about cooking techniques and flavor profiles, anticipating the day you would put them to real-life application. This is comfort food material for an audience who seeks for leisure entertainment. But I also couldn't believe they took such a minimal approach adapting the original manga into an animated series. The show is like an enhanced PowerPoint slideshow, laden with pan shots of a still image or simple idle animation all across its entire run. I'm no cinematography expert, but simply sitting in front of the show, being exposed to it for 4 seasons, 60 episodes and up, you will unconsciously feel there's something off about the presentation. Something's cooking up wrong. There were indeed beautiful shots that have benefited from a mere panning, like right here. Needless to say, the problem here isn't the basic technique itself. There's a right moment for the right technique, and the show can even utilize it heavily to evoke a certain pacing and atmosphere if it is used appropriately. For example, an Iyashikei slice of life like Aria the Animation. It is a laid-back show about the slow-paced lifestyle in an imaginative city. And so, it is filled with slow pans and zooms as we relax, experience, and bask in the sceneries of a foreign, beautiful world. But Food Wars is a fiery, passionate show filled with young chefs striving for their goals, and the problem here is overusage to the point of hard to ignore. Scenes that were trying to evoke a certain level of energy, all devoid from the impact they were supposed to yield, no matter how much they mix up the speed of the pan, because the repeat scrolling had numbed our senses before the punch arrives. Deliveries become flat and rhythmless, a case of backfire due to the senseless reliance of the basic movement. For the sake of double confirming my criticism to make sure it is sound and fair, I actually went back and rewatched all 4 seasons while reading the manga side by side. Not back to back, side by side. And sure enough, it didn't change my mind at all. Though, truth be told, I thought the pacing, soundtrack, and sound design remedied the problem quite well. It is a shame the storyboarding could not match up for this to be a more refined full-course meal. I will refrain from saying there were less love and interest poured into the production adapting the manga, and I share the sentiment of that the quality of an anime shouldn't be determined by the quantity of frames or sakuga moments, but the end result here is certainly less interesting and bland, washing out a lot of flavors that animation could bring on the table. The searing pain of knowing that was felt. The potential of an animation adaptation has gone to smoke. But as long as they serve up the dishes and we get fed, we'll eat it up, eh? It is a little saddening to realize a show about delicious delicacies could be so stale in the composition department. After a good 20-minute runtime of an episode, pandering humans' innate basic needs, alas, we are graced by an epic ending theme, eluding us from this unreal shooter anime experience that crawls just slow enough to prevent us from throwing up the meal we have prepared to eat along for a better viewing experience. Let's listen to a song while we finish up the last few bites, and whoa, here's more pans and zooms. Even the openings and endings could not escape the fate of frivolous panning. The 4th ending is the worst contender, given it is one of those that compiles episode footages and just roll with them. Wait, hold up. Am I seeing this right? The dons are not moving. The don belongs to a bowl, not a pan. It is a straight up statement. Damn, Nikumi made them so tight they won't slide away. Slap that tight meat, it demands attention. Do you remember the first ED, where everyone from the Polar Star dormitory is enjoying themselves, sitting side by side, having their own cutesy, expressive animation loop? And together, it is this extremely wholesome gathering, brimming with joy and fun as a family, while having the best song of the series playing at the background. Man, I love this song. The irony is that this ending was also almost composed by pan shots alone, but the sheer amount of life they have injected into each and every character here also captivates your attention. And a good way to pull your eyes away from these addicting loops is to pan on. In this case, the pan is doing two things. One, it is making an effort to move your attention away from one character to the other. And two, is inserting the next anticipated character into the screen for you to savor, practically using the camera for the audience's pleasure. And only after panning through the entire table once, we slowly zoom out, gathering every single one of them into the frame as they bask us with complete wholesomeness. This is the case of utilizing the simple technique well. Look, we all know why these bland camera pans were so heavily used. They are to compensate the lack of movements of each cut, because they have decided to not create better compositions to a scene where someone just narrates the speech or thought bubbles from the manga. At most, they are paired with backdrops of ingredients passing through, illustrating their flavor texts. And if lucky, we get some very light animation to
helps the medicine go down.
This slapstick approach applies to the comedy bits as well. The Ultraman-eyed cute little chibi hit in the manga that pops up for light-hearted banter very often gets a full screen treatment. And on season 3 onwards, they lean on making these more often and sort of become a brand of comedy relief for the show. Though it is worth mentioning that at this point in the manga, these comedy bits are also visibly increasing, taking up more spaces of the pages with bigger panels. So I guess you could say the production has maintained in line with the manga, which I think says a lot more about the manga than the adaptation. There are many other ways to compose a cut creatively even without involving extensive animation, but they chose to do it this way. In a case like that, a simple camera movement could instill motion. At least it keeps your eyes moving even though they are only doing the bare minimum. Can we convey movements with another way that the medium is known for, like say, I don't know, animation? Credits where credits due, there are definitely good supplements added on top of the manga. Scenes where Soma unravels his hand towel, for example, were enhanced pretty well, probably for the sake of making the act itself a trademark moment across the series. But they also get simpler and simpler down the line. Faithful towards the manga? Yes, but for everything they add onto the table, the clever ones come in far and few in between. Adding a picture and let it slide along fills up the majority of the episodes, almost like a default approach when they have no idea what to add. It's really a shame because every time they had the leisure to showcase better compositions, so much life can be seen. The hot piping spirit of the students really do seeps out, reinvigorating the entire feel of the show. This pot and slide approach just ain't making the cut. When the material is brought into an entirely different medium, make use of that possibility to enhance the experience. Give it some spices. I'm not asking for Sakuga all day, but they can be sprinkled sparingly to open up our appetite. Clever digital effects and editing? Bring it on, and don't pull any punches. Spoon, knives, pot. But even the imaginative, metaphorical sequences where the judges are getting their minds blown away by the dishes that are supposedly open opportunities for animation to shine? Unceremonious I know to animate characters that are consistently drawn with a certain degree of details is labor intensive, but at least give us something else. Make it move, make it swoop, break the convention of a picture. Anime. I want to see them slice them veggies with style like in those older cooking anime. Hell, like what they did here in the very first episode would suffice. I want to see characters dumping descriptive expositions with enthusiasm that the cinematography could also match with excitement. So what's the problem here? Is it directorial problems? A production problem? A request from the author to not mess with the manga too much? Or a combination of all the above and beyond? If I am to go on full speculation mode, maybe they had assumed most people will be watching the show with a company of a meal, more than just snacks that is. Looking at the time slot in which the show was aired, it would probably be supper if anyone fancies a bite at that time. In that case, it will be easier for the viewers to follow what has been put on screen if they were constructed in a simpler fashion, as we divert our attention to chow down our food. As long as the dishes are drawn and colored nicely, they are good to serve. That is the furthest stretch I allowed myself to assume, acknowledging the fact that the medium could take these factors into considerations as they were produced. But I don't intend to frame this as an excuse on their behalf, or pardoning the fact that the end product turns out the way it is, just that it is a possibility and I ought to mention it. So other than that, I have no answer as to why it was put together fast food style. But what I can say for certain is that the pan is not at fault. A part of Food Wars is about breaking the status quo. A boy who cooks at a diner beating up gourmet chefs with comfort food filled with unique ideas. Breaking the mold of the tradition, embrace the infinite possibilities of avant-garde cooking. But sadly, that aspect did not show from its production. Who could have blamed them? For all the manga out there, sometimes you get this adaptation or no adaptation at all. Have they achieved what they set out to do? I sincerely hope they did. But for now, I'm just here hoping the next plate of this genre will be handled with more tender loving care than how a fast food chain assembles their items. This is definitely one of the more editing intensive video I've put out compared to the others so far. Let me know what you feel down at the comments, and feel free to check out my other videos if you are hungry for more. I'm on Twitter as well at moonanime9. Give me a follow if you like some silly media tweets. I'm trying my best to kickstart this channel, so any subscribe and sharing of my content are deeply appreciated. And thank you for sitting through. Coming up next is a little trailer for the next video, and I hope to see you then. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you from the moon. Jikai on Moon Anime.